Everyone, is Perma Egg Jules here, and we are delighted to say that today's video is brought to you in partnership with Manscaped. But you know what? We're going to have more about that later in the video. Comic books are incredibly crazy at times. Now, when it comes to converting these mad stories into movie moments, things tend to get toned down just a little bit. Don't get me wrong, you still get to see superpowered individuals flying about and doing ridiculous things, but they're probably not doing so while wearing a zebra costume. I'm looking at you, Batman. So let's have a chat. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 things that will never happen in the DC cinematic universe. Number 10. Robotic Batman. Now, back in late 2015 and into 2016, strange things were afoot in the world of DC Comics. Superman had lost his secret identity and cape, Wonder Woman strapped a couple of huge knives to her bracelets for some reason, and Bruce Wayne was dead, but Batman weirdly wasn't. That's because the Dark Knight's legacy was being kept alive by Commissioner Gordon wearing a huge robotic suit of armor, with more than a hint of RoboCop to the story that involves Gordon becoming a privatized crime fighter with a mech suit donated by a local tech company. It is one of the stranger twists to appear in recent Batman comics. Unsurprisingly, it didn't last, although it was admittedly very fun for a spell. That's the sort of thing that you really just can't do in a film. In comics, a few months of Robot Batman is nothing compared to the hundreds of issues the regular Caped Crusader has starred and will star in. Putting together a multi-million-dollar blockbuster is a little more effort and not on a monthly schedule. It's a shame though, because Gordon's Batman suit was really cool. Number 9. Lex Luthor's big green suit. Now, speaking of goofy robot suits, Lex Luthor has often toyed with being a physical threat to Superman by clambering into one. Usually he's the intellectual enemy orchestrating events that aim to bring down the Man of Steel, but sometimes he just needs to strap himself into a mechanical suit of armor, which is usually bright green and purple, and then punch his nemesis right in the face. Now, the Silver Age was not a good time for stylish costume designs. In the DC cinematic universe, Luthor made his first appearance in Batman v Superman, with Jesse Eisenberg sporting an impressive head of hair for a diabolical supervillain more traditionally known for his chrome dome. Still, since the Dark Knight has his own metal suit and is ready to trade fisticuffs with Superman, Eisenberg's as Lex is probably unlikely to put together that classic eye-burning ensemble should he ever return to our screens. It would also be a bit of a left turn in terms of the DCEU's aesthetic, which is one mainly painted in dark, ominous colors instead of highlighter shades. Number 8. Superman's porn film debut. So let's face it, the least interesting thing you can do with Superman is have him fight somebody. He's super strong and nigh invincible, so nobody's going to defeat him in a physical contest. What makes a compelling conflict for the Man of Steel is placing him in some impossible situation where somebody else is going to die or something else along those lines. Or you go for the real offbeat plot lines and have Superman brainwashed into making a porno with fellow superhero Big Barda, who is of course married to fellow masked adventurer Mr. Miracle, just to make things even worse. The story involved an intergalactic sleaze lord called, Sleaze, who hypnotized the two into boinking for an adult movie. Eventually they shook the brainwashing and took Sleaze down, but not before they'd already made the film, which was just never mentioned again. R-rated erotica was thrust back into the mainstream thanks to 50 Shades of Grey, but don't expect Warner Brothers to try and jump on that particular bandwagon here. Superman's underpants will never appear on screen. Number 7. Any appearance by Ambush Bug. Now, Ambush Bug is one of the strangest characters to ever appear in the DC universe, even more so than the rich guy in the bat costume or the super strong alien in the blue tights, which is saying something. Now, Irwin here found clothes that were sent away from a doomed planet, which had been intercepted by a giant cosmic radioactive spider who imbued the clothes with powers. At least that's what's kind of agreed upon as Ambush Bug's origin. Even Irwin himself isn't sure, since the character's whole gimmick is that he doesn't actually understand the world around him. He's a character who has had a complete break from reality even before he had the power of teleportation. He's kind of a bit like Deadpool. In fact, Ambush Bug is most commonly used to spoof other superheroes, from the Man of Steel to Spider-Man. The success of the first 2 Deadpool films to date might convince Warner Brothers to try Ambush Bug, but he's even stranger a prospect than the fourth wall breaking merc with a mouth, and is much more obscure and doesn't have a famous fan like Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah, that's the spot. Oh, sorry, you just caught me using the Manscaped Weed Whacker there, which reminds me that today's video is actually sponsored by Manscaped.com. Now, as we return to the What Culture offices, Manscaped have had us covered to make us sure that we're returning as the very best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be. As you can probably tell, we're all feeling pretty good about ourselves, and it's all down to the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, which I have right here. Now, my favorite bit of kit is the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. With a design as sleek and as smooth as my downstairs now is, this should be the center of your entire grooming regime. That's because the 4.0's replaceable ceramic blades with skin-safe technology and an LED light means that you can trim with confidence and see everything you're trimming so you don't end up with like a mullet down there or something. I don't know what that would look like, but it probably would look bad. It's also great for beard maintenance. It comes with this nifty wireless charging dock and it has a travel lock for when you're on the go. Just tap it 3 times and you're safe to be on the move. Out of the shower, the Manscaped Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant has clear, drying moisturizing to make sure your downstairs stays fresh all day. On the other hand, or ball I guess, there's the Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray with cooling aloe vera for your midday refresh so you're smelling good all day. Delicious. Now nothing can ruin the vibe more than stray hairs sticking out of here and here. Fortunately, Manscaped's Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer solves that problem, and it comes with skin-safe technology as well, so it doesn't tug or leave your eyes watering while you're going. And for a limited time only, you can get 2 free gifts with your offer: the Shed travel bag for when you're on the go, and these anti-chafe Manscaped boxer shorts, which are just chef's kiss. Finally, sign up to the Peak Hygiene plan and you can even get replenishments of your favorite products delivered straight to your door hassle-free. So go to manscaped.com today to get 20% off and free international shipping, and of course these 2 free gifts when you use our promo code WAT20 at the checkout. That's the promo code WAT20 when you check out. For now though, I guess, well, back to that video.
Number 6. Shazam's Uncle Marvel. With the titular hero being brought to life in 2019's Shazam, audiences were treated to a brighter, more kid-friendly caped superhero than had previously been seen elsewhere in the DCU by that point. And the hero currently seems on an inevitable collision course with Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam some point down the line after next year's Shazam Fury of the Gods. But one comic character who will likely never make it to the silver screen though is Uncle Marvel. A relation to sidekick Marvel, Uncle Marvel doesn't have any superpowers to speak of at all. In fact, it's unclear what exactly Uncle Marvel brings to the table. He was just a crazy, harmless old man that the rest of the Shazam characters humoured in his delusions of grandeur. While Shazam had a different tone to the darker sides of the DCEU, and will likely retain that different tone for Fury of the Gods, don't expect a comically senile old fart to be an example of that. Number 5. Snapper Carr, Justice League sidekick. The whole point of the Justice League is that there are no sidekicks needed at all. All the heavy hitters of the DC universe team up together to deal with enemies that would be insurmountable otherwise. Meanwhile, all of their adolescent seconds in command can play about in their Teen Titans squad. While it remains to be seen which Titans or younger heroes will make it to the silver screen across these next few years, it seems highly unlikely that we'll be seeing an appearance from Snapper Carr, the self-appointed sidekick of the Justice League. They do not need a sidekick, they are the most powerful heroes in the universe. He's a rich jerk who basically makes the Justice League his own pet project, buying them a fancy clubhouse with his family wealth so they're forced to spend time with him. And Snapper was charitably referred to as the team's mascot. He was not, he was just irritating. Number 4. Flash, the fattest man alive. Barry Allen has gone from one of the lesser-known members of the main DC stable of superheroes to one of the hottest properties Warner Bros. Now owns. Not content with the smash hit of the CW series, Warners have Ezra Miller speeding around the DCEU and set to get his own timeline-altering movie this coming November. Of course, the Scarlet Speedster has long been referred to as the fastest man alive. Fastest, that is, not the fattest. Because the fattest man alive was a story from the Flash comics of the 1960s, where Gorilla Grodd, a talking psychic simian supervillain, shot Barry Allen with a gun that made the Flash absorb all the moisture in the world around him. Subsequently, the Sultan of Speed ballooned into a morbidly obese hero whose skin-tight red costume still somehow fits. That's not a concept that is likely to translate onto film. It's a miracle they got Grodd to work on the TV show, honestly. The story continues with the Flash losing his memory and becoming a circus freak, just because apparently things hadn't got ridiculous enough already. Number 3. Green Lantern's fear of yellow. The Green Lanterns are, on paper, some of the coolest characters in comics. The Universal Police Department that patrols the cosmos, protecting their assigned planets from intergalactic threats. The Emerald Knights are armed with magic space rings that can make anything that they can imagine, which makes them just just about unbeatable. Now, creators need some Achilles heel to provide some tensions when the Lanterns did throw down with the enemies, sort of like Superman's kryptonite. And while everybody's fine with radioactive rocks as a weakness, less convincing is the Green Lantern's aversion to the color yellow. Apparently you can defeat them by just chucking a lemon their way. Despite the people who are tasked with maintaining peace and order in the galaxy, they can't deal with a color. There's literally a Batman comic where he defeats Hal Jordan, Earth's Green Lantern, by painting a house yellow and inviting him in. People hated the last Green Lantern film as it is. They won't be risking a goofy concept like this when they bring the Green Lanterns back into the cinematic four. Number 2. Any superpowered pets. Now, while I know that there is an animated film of the DC League of Super Pets hitting screens this May, when it comes to the live-action DCEU, these are definitely not going to be appearing. I mean, not only have you got a flying dog, but you've also got a super cat, you've got a super horse, you've got a super monkey from Krypton. No, that's not going to be on the live-action screen. No, moving on. And number 1, Identity Crisis. One of the most notorious and best-selling comics of the 21st century is Identity Crisis, a murder mystery for the ages. The central plot draws in almost every recognizable superhero and villain from DC, along with actually a few unrecognizable ones as well. And it all begins with the murder of Elongated Man's wife, Sue Dibney. From there, the stretchy detective superhero stumbles upon a conspiracy that takes in mind wipes, Batman being betrayed by his friends, and a lot of sexual abuse, as well as a ton of murder on top of it. It's very, very grim in places. Now, we've seen already how recent live-action DC movies have tended to be a little dark in places, but nothing should ever get as dark as Identity Crisis. The whole story is rather distasteful in places, but the reason why it won't work on screen is because of the cognitive dissonance involved in superheroes being mixed up in such seedy, disturbing affairs. That simply isn't what comic books should be and are not portrayed to be on the silver screen. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 things that will never happen in the DC cinematic universe. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ0, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice, where I do all of my streaming outside of work, and it'd be great to see you over there, my friends. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.